Hey, Colorado Springs, Craig Terrassa, a licensed real estate agent, and today I have...
JP Westco Insurance.
And so, obviously, insurance is the topic today, but specifically using a broker, or why it's better to use a broker like JP versus a traditional insurance firm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a few different things that I'll kind of touch on, maybe just saying, hey, the number of carriers, what happens at renewals, maybe some honest feedback, or can give you some third party knowledge to look over to say, hey, this is what we see and what we don't see. It makes it easier to change, less awkward, and a little more convenient. So we can kind of dive into that a little bit.
Yeah. So let's kind of talk about the difference, right? What's basically the difference between you as an independent guy versus a captive insurance carrier?
Well, so a captive is going to have one option. I mean, maybe that's an insurance term, but essentially, if you call someone who has a name of the company on the building, then that's the only quote that they can give you, right? So you call and they say, all right, well, here, I got a quote from such and such carrier. But then if you call us, we just get all of your information and then we shop it to a lot of carriers.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, so more flexibility, more choices, and you can kind of shop rates with basically one phone call.
One phone call. It makes it more convenient.
And on that, we were talking earlier, you were talking about there's rumors going around that hey, if you use a broker, you have to call an 800 number and get this runaround.
Yeah.
What's the truth on that?
Well, we get a lot. I mean, you got my cell phone. You call my cell phone.
Yeah, I call and text. I use JP myself. That's another reason I have him here today. And actually, on that note, I switched over, and I kind of running through the ringer a little bit. I had another friend that was with just one carrier that was in insurance.
Everybody has a friend.
Yeah, and I said, hey, I'm looking to switch from this carrier to this broker.
Right.
Can you look over this and read the lawyer speak and tell me if it's truly apples to apples? And I think you had it was you didn't dot the I and cross the T.
Right,
it was minor stuff, but I was like, JP, it's not apples to apples. But so he went back, it was minor stuff. It wasn't anything important, but I was like, hey, make it apples to apples, which made no difference on the price.
Right.
As far as from your original quote.
Well, I appreciate that you did that.
Yeah, but the difference was $400.
Yeah.
Like a month.
Yeah, no, it
was crazy.
No, sometimes it's dramatic. Sometimes it's a little bit. We're splitting hairs and what. But the nice thing is, again, to flexibility. If I only saved a couple $100, right, for apples to apples, but when the rate goes up at renewal, we can just shop it again, and then you don't have. If you're with one company, right, and the rate's going to creep up, and you're just saying, hey, I've been with this company for 20 plus years, and that's fine, but you just keep eating all those increases. So,
and that's great too, is where, I remember years ago I had an insurance person, and they had sold me. I had I think I had Alien. If an alien spaceship lands on my house, I was covered for that. And I'm like, I don't need alien crashing in my house insurance. It was so over. And then I was like, hey, someone had said, hey, you should check out this other carrier. Yeah. I switched over. Again, I saved a bunch of money back then. This is when I was 20 or something. And it was the guilt trip from heck. I'll be appropriate online here. It was oh my gosh, the guilt trip I got to cancel. So how does that work with you if they want to switch carriers? Yeah,
that is one beautiful. I try to remind everybody too the convenience of it when we do it. I'm like, hey, you realize we just moved you from this carrier to this carrier. We'll say, okay, well the rates went up with this carrier, so we just move it. And then sometimes it's cheaper. At renewal, we found this one, it's less than what you paid last year. Yeah. And I'll remind them and say, how convenient this is. Otherwise, you would have to call somebody who's going to be like, oh, don't leave me. You get the full guilt trip. Nobody wants to make that phone call.
It's
really awkward.
A lot less awkward.
It's
just, hey, this is a better deal. Let's just switch over.
We click this one to cancel, and click, sign up the new one. Everybody moves along, and then and then you're good to go. And you didn't have to call. I guess get people that call. They're like, I've called 8 different agents, 3 broker. First of all, you only need 1 broker, because if you call multiple brokers, we're all quoting the same carriers. But if you want to call some of the captive one, I've called 4. You don't have to do that. You call them.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, JP. Yeah. This is what I need. We just did it the other day with we had some other business insurance, family member, and it was tough, and we who was recommended, which I feel like an idiot for not calling you initially.
Well, it's different,
But they were like, hey, go to this person. The family member's like, hey, I can't. I'm like, look, call my. Let me see if JP does it.
Ask.
He did. Yeah. And he was able to get it done when no one else could. Another thing with the you hear things about, hey, you have to call the 800 number,
Right,
different people.
right.
I call or I text JP and say, hey, here's what I need.
Right.
And he's very quick. He gets on it, which I love. And then, when you call the other carriers, right?
Yeah.
You got to give them like everything.
Your
name,
birthday,
phone number, birthday, address, email, firstborn,
what kind of dog you got,
stool sample, all that stuff. Yeah. And it's like, I just called JP once, and he's looking at a dozen or so in one shot, and I only have to call one person.
Right.
So I love the convenience.
Well, and one thing is that we can tell you honestly. I know we don't want to get into a whole sidetrack of like different types of coverages but if you only have one option and you come to me and say, hey, I have this situation, or have an Airbnb or whatever, if they don't cover Airbnb, sometimes they're not going to tell you we can't do that, call someone else. They just do it a little differently, and then say we'll call it a second home. But you set yourself up for failure and or like complete disaster if something you might not be covered properly. So
which goes into that the coverage thing we were talking about. It's like, okay, great, it's not just about saving
premium,
money,
right? Yeah.
But it's, hey, what's my deductible? What's whatever, and that's why I like JP is he's not going to like sell you down the river or that's all I have, so I don't want to lose the business. It's like, here's what this comes with, and here's the options.
Or I have the advantage of being able to point out issues, like when you did and you say, hey, they sent me this quote, and I can look at it and say, oh well, yeah, they've depreciated your roof by 60%. You don't want to self-insure. You're going to come out of pocket. All that. But the agent's not going to tell you that. That because they're going to say, well, it's Colorado. There's a lot of hail. Everybody's doing like, no, not everybody's doing that. Not everybody.
Well, everybody's doing it. Well, I don't want everybody. I want the guy that's going to get me
protected. Give me the full replacement cost, please. So I can point out the issues with that one. But more importantly, I can have other options, right? You can be like, okay, well, we don't want to do that one because you're not covered properly, so we'll just do it with this carrier. So that gives us flexibility, and then we don't have to. I mean, I'm not the type of person that I'm not going to lie to you anyway,
right?
And frankly,
which is another reason I use JP, because I don't like those type that do fib. I want the guy's going to tell you, even if it's bad news, just give me the bad news, which he did the other day.
I did the other day.
And I was like, well, at least we got it done, but I know what I'm getting into.
But I'll be on it, because it will come back around, and it either gets the client in trouble if you're not covered properly, and then a massive claim is just not covered, or it gets us in trouble if you told me, and then I get sued. So there's no good in being dishonest, but it happens. Unfortunately, a lot, and which is why people don't trust insurance agents. But,
for sure. Okay, so well, thank you, JP.
Yeah.
If there's some info for you on some insurance stuff. If you have specific insurance for insurance, we'll have JP's contact info here below. Give him a call. If you're looking to upgrade your house, change, move, sell, buy, we do all that stuff. Go ahead and give us a call. Have my contact info at the bottom as well, and we'd love to help you out. Last thing, is there any special offers, anything you can offer my folks now today?
Sure. Well, I mean, insurance is pretty straightforward. A lot of times the best thing that I can offer is just, like I said, a free consultation. If you want to email me, we'll put contact info. But if you're like, hey, well, look and make sure I'm properly covered, right? I don't know. Am I getting hosed? Am I getting...
So you'll kind of go do that apples to apples thing that I did, right?
Look.
And go by, hey, this is what's covered. You're self-insuring the roof or whatnot. And
I might say, hey, you know what? Keep what you got. That's fine. It's totally not a bad deal. Or I might say, did you know you have a $16,000 deductible?
Yeah.
Did you know they depreciated the roof? Or something along those lines. But we can read the fine print.
Yeah. So if you just want to know, if you're like, hey, I'm not sure. Cost you nothing. Give him a call. He'll take care of you and give you the right answer.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right. Have a great day, Colorado Springs. Bye-bye.
Thanks.